All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for coming today. We are a team, it's elementary, and today we're very excited to show you our senior project, Next Up, Philadelphia. But first, we'd love to briefly introduce ourselves. My name's Becky Liu, I'm the project manager.
I'm Ziad Karameth, I'm the art lead and 3D artist.
Hi, I'm Mikayla, Lisiy, and I'm the UI designer and 2D animator.
My name is Kartha Boonngamanong. I'm the XR lead and I make the controller.
I'm Leanne and I'm the story lead and I worked on product design.
I'm Aman Kartha. I'm a programmer in the team.
I'm Greaves. I'm the programming lead and I worked on the game design.
And I'm Victoria Stauffer. I was the lead product designer and UX researcher.
And now, before we jump into more details, I'd love to ask you a few questions. So, how many of you here have kids? Okay, a lot of you guys do. And how many of you have struggled to find a kids-friendly way to learn about the culture and history of a place? I see a couple hands still. So just like those who raised their hands, we noticed that it can be difficult sometimes for kids to understand and learn about the history and culture background of the city. And that's why, with our project Next Up Philadelphia, we designed an exhibit that brought the history and culture of the city of Philadelphia to children. At our exhibit, kids can engage with educational games, crafts, and activities that let them experience the culture and history of our city in an age-appropriate and exciting way.
The first step in our process was to define our idea with user research. We developed a user survey that helped us recruit highly qualified experts who volunteered to participate in our user interviews. This research helped us determine the best approach when designing an educational exhibit for children. Our user interviews gave us 3 major insights. First, we learned that we should give kids a variety of ways to engage with our exhibit. This allowed us to accommodate the unique needs of elementary-aged children. Our research also revealed that we needed learning objectives. For each of our 4 stations, we determined a goal and made design decisions that worked to achieve them. Finally, we learned that it would be most effective to use story and conflict to motivate our visitors to complete the entire exhibit.
The story of our exhibit allowed visitors to help our 4 characters find their missing souvenirs in Philadelphia, guiding them through the physical space by meeting each character at each station on their map. The language, storyline, and characters were all designed based on extensive research on children's stories, museums, and user interviews. The topic of anthropomorphism is heavily used in children's designs and stories, where an object or an animal are given human-like characteristics. Based on our research, we created our very own anthropomorphic animals, which allows easiness of understanding, interactive engagement, and a sense of inclusiveness.
Using all the research we gathered, the story and the characters, we started designing our games. We had 2 3D games that you can see on the left and 2 2D games you can see on the right. Thus, we had to make sure that the style of the games were consistent with each other. The art style we were going for is painterly, kid-friendly, with lots of bright colors. The 3D games are meant to emulate a kid's toy set. More specifically, a kid's toy set that had been painted by a child to make it more their own. The 2D games mimic that style with painted sprites and UI. We also had particle effects so that the 2D games could have the same amount of movement as the 3D games.
So based on the overall art style, we wanted to incorporate this throughout all of our stations and exhibit to stay consistent with our image. And since we're targeting our exhibit towards a younger audience, as well, I apologize. We use very bright and vivid colors, as well as painted and loose hand-drawn shapes, which is shown in the imagery you see here. And by incorporating this in the overall art style, we've created a kid-friendly interface that makes kids feel comfortable engaging and interacting with our exhibit.
product design team brought our exhibit to life. We combined our digital and physical design skills to create a space that was 100% original. We built installations, painted murals, and designed every piece of our exhibit with our branding in mind. With this, we were able to create a cohesive experience.
And now, let's take a closer look at our stations.
The first station is the Philadelphia Museum of Art, where visitors learned about the principles of art, such as shapes, colors, and patterns. Here, visitors were able to decorate their very own postcards with a variety of different mediums, and were able to hang it up in our gallery.
As for the digital game, we used Unity to make a puzzle game that would test and enhance the players' pattern recognition skills. Players will need to find various pieces found in the real-life Museum of Art. Then players will need to move these pieces via touch to the correct corresponding canvas in order to rebuild each piece of art. This game was played on the ViewSonic touchscreen TV, which allows for multiple players to play at once and for the players to become immersed in both the game and the station.
The second station is the Liberty Bell, where visitors learned about how the bell was rebuilt. Here, the craft was inspired by an activity that we found when researching in-person events. The craft, to make it our own, we cut out Liberty Bells, used popsicle sticks and paper fasteners to create a craft that shows the bell breaking.
For the digital side of this station, we wanted to walk the player through the process of recasting the bell. So to help with that, we created custom controllers. The game is split into 2 mini-games. First, the player must strike a sensor at the right time in order to stack up a mold. Then they move on to a second mini-game, where it's sort of a balancing game where they need to keep the temperature at a certain point in order to melt the metal.
At Reading Terminal Market, we wanted visitors to discover the many cultures of Philadelphia through their food. This playground-style game challenged visitors to match different foods to the correct cultural categories.
This is the digital side of the Reading Terminal Market Station, whose goal was for players to be able to distinguish which dishes belong to which cuisine. The player is tasked with finding 3 different dishes spread across multiple stalls, and when found, must grab them with their hands.
The last and final station is our Chinatown station, where visitors learned about the ancient story behind the Chinese Lantern Festival. Here, visitors were able to make their very own customized Chinese lantern to hang up in our exhibit or to just take home.
With our digital game, we want to give the visitor a glimpse of what it's like to be a part of the Lantern Festival. Our game was inspired by Flappy Bird, but instead of one player, 2 players would have to work together to navigate to the finish line. One person would control the head, while the other one controlled the tail. Our game was developed in Unity, and we used Arduino featherboards to build kids-friendly controllers that give hand-on textiles experience.
And now, we love to show you this short video of our final exhibit day.
Thank you. In the end, our exhibit was quite successful. We had 60 visitors, with 98% working through the entire exhibit and completing their map. Our learning objectives were met with above average scores, ranging from 72 to 87%, and we had an overall satisfaction rating of 4.8 out of 5. I am pleased to say that we achieved our goal of immersing our visitors in our fun-filled exhibit, Next Stop Philadelphia.
Last but not least, we want to give some special thanks to our generous donors for helping us make this project come together. We also want to thank all our supporters and contributors who've been helping us throughout the terms. We want to thank our lovely volunteers and all our playtesters for giving us valuable feedback. And finally, thank all of you for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed our presentation. Have a wonderful afternoon, and we'll see you at the expo.